Earlier that year, Jen was at a bar enjoying her night with a friend when she was served a drink. Confused, she looked over to see the bartender indicating that a man had bought it for her. However, upon closer inspection, Jen didn't find the man attractive. Encouraged by her friend, she decided to write him a note pretending to flirt. She approached him and handed over the note, making him believe he had a chance, but when he read it, he was furious at Jen's harsh rejection. Currently, Detective Marks is questioning Jen about her situation, but she's uncooperative. Despite her attitude, Marks remains composed and explains that he needs clarification due to some inconsistencies. He mentions that her mother had reported an emergency, claiming Jen was in danger after receiving a call from her, where Jen screamed for help. Marks finds it curious that Jen has reappeared after being missing for months and suspects she was kidnapped, possibly developing Stockholm Syndrome. Though Jen denies this, Marks presses her to be honest, assuring that her cooperation will lead to leniency. Convinced by Marks's persistence, Jen decides to share what happened the night she disappeared. She recalls going for a quick jog, taking a bath afterward, unaware that a masked intruder had broken into her house. The man sneaked into her room, stealing a few items. While Jen chatted with her mother, getting into her car to head to the gym, the intruder grabbed her from behind. In response, Jeremy leaves briefly and returns with a bucket of hot water and a dress, then unshackles her, inviting her to take a bath and change. He announces they'll have dinner and watch a movie together. During the candlelit dinner, Jen hesitates to eat, leading Jeremy to wonder if she's a vegetarian. Frustrated at himself for not asking sooner, he has an outburst. Startled, Jen quickly compliments his cooking, but is curious about the candles. Jeremy explains he just wanted to make the evening special, clarifying it's not part of any ritual. Jeremy then asks if she has a boyfriend, and when Jen denies it, he assumes she only dates attractive men. She's intrigued by his assumption, and he explains that attractive people often lack empathy. Surprisingly, Jen agrees, which catches him off guard. He feels they both share the ability to be deeply passionate, but is angered when she denies needing a relationship. Jeremy argues that she must have someone meaningful in her life, while Jen feels disappointed that he abducted her to satisfy his own views. He admits loneliness drove him to drastic actions, even hinting at past suicidal thoughts, which horrifies Jen. He then asks for her honest opinion of him, though her uncertainty disheartens him. Back in the present, Detective Marks asks if Jen considered the dinner with Jeremy a date, but she's unsure. Marks, astounded by Jeremy's attempt at romance, demands his name and location, eager to capture him. Jen, however, insists Jeremy didn't truly harm her and believes his misguided actions had good intentions. Frustrated, Marks dismisses her defense, pressing her to explain her escape. Jen reveals that Jeremy eventually freed her, realizing he couldn't keep her against her will. Marks is skeptical, so Jen explains how they grew closer over time. One day, after Jeremy had been teaching her guitar, she asked if he'd ever experienced love. He was unsure, so he turned the question back to her. Jen recounted falling for a musician whose voice initially captivated her, but she soon realized she was more invested than he was. She tried to surprise him at one of his shows, only to find him dancing intimately with another woman. The betrayal stung, especially since he had refused to dance with her countless times before. In an attempt to comfort her, Jeremy gently caresses Jen's hair and invites her to dance. Though hesitant, Jen agrees, and as they sway, she admits she's feeling something confusing yet undeniable toward him. The atmosphere between them intensifies and Jeremy, drawn to her, attempts a kiss. However, Jen pulls away, still wrestling with her emotions, which leaves Jeremy feeling rejected and embarrassed, prompting him to storm out. Later, while at a bar, Jeremy spots an attractive woman and sends her a drink despite the bartender's subtle warning to reconsider. Ignoring the advice, Jeremy insists, but when the woman's boyfriend arrives and finds out, he's enraged. Luring Jeremy to an alley, he delivers a brutal beating, warning him to stay away. Yet, when the man is distracted by a phone call, Jeremy seizes the opportunity, striking him with a trash can lid, and in a fit of rage, ends his life. Afterward, Jeremy comes across one of Jen's missing posters and removes it, determined to keep her to himself. Soon after, Jeremy abducts another woman resembling Jen, bringing her to a hotel to release his frustrations. While there, he reads an article about Jen's disappearance, heightening his fear that her loved ones are still searching for her. Returning home intoxicated and injured, he stumbles into the basement where Jen, alarmed by his wounds, notices his disheveled state. Jeremy compliments her beauty, but expresses frustration over his feelings, confessing he can't stop thinking about her. He admits he's fought the urge to act on his desire because he can't bear the thought of hurting her. Touched, Jen admits she has genuine feelings for him, leading them to share an intimate moment. The following morning, Jen wakes to find her restraints removed, yet Jeremy is nowhere in sight. She heads upstairs to find him on the sofa, seemingly distant. When she approaches him to kiss him, he pulls away and insists she leaves, claiming she doesn't belong in his world. Jen pleads to stay, but Jeremy remains firm, reminding her that her family is probably missing her. Despite her promise to keep his secret, Jeremy admits he's seen an article online about her disappearance, confirming that authorities are aware. He then apologizes, confessing he took her for his own selfish reasons, but can't keep her any longer, revealing that he's fallen in love with her. Though Jen begs him to reconsider, Jeremy has made up his mind and forcibly leads her outside. Left with no choice, Jen begins the long walk home, eventually collapsing by the roadside. A concerned passerby finds her and brings her to safety. Back in the present, Detective Marks questions Jen further, pushing her to reveal details about Jeremy, but she remains silent. Despite his insistence that Jeremy committed a crime by abducting her, Jen defends him, stating that he ultimately let her go. Frustrated, Marks reminds her of the abduction's severity, but she refuses to help in their pursuit of Jeremy. Detective Marks shifts the interrogation into its most critical phase, showing Jen a photograph and instructing her to identify the man in it. Her silence is enough to confirm that Jeremy is indeed her captor, causing Marks to feel a sense of triumph. He reveals a shocking detail. Jeremy is the son of a decorated officer, Harry, who, along with Jeremy, has mysteriously gone missing. Marks then connects Jeremy to the infamous Stockholm killer case, an investigation spanning years. Marks presents a photo of the basement bed, commanding Jen to confirm if she had been chained to it. Her continued silence leads Marks to threaten a DNA comparison between her and samples found at the crime scenes. He then shows her a series of photos depicting Jeremy's previous victims, all young women in their 20s who suffered the same fate. According to the investigation, after establishing emotional control over his captives, Jeremy would offer them the chance to leave, only to fatally stab them during a staged farewell. Highlighting the pattern, Marks theorizes that Jeremy's obsession stems from years of mistreatment by a domineering figure, possibly his father. But Jen, blinded by her feelings, resists these claims. Growing frustrated, Marks asserts that Jeremy's so-called love was nothing more than manipulation, reminding her that he used these same tactics with other women. Despite Marks's attempts to expose the truth, Jen remains conflicted, infuriating the detective further. Meanwhile, Marks's hunch proves correct. Jeremy has already targeted a new victim named Veronica. She flees into a field, desperately trying to evade him. Seeking refuge in a nearby barn, Veronica hides, but Jeremy is close behind, attempting to coax her out with promises of a candlelit dinner. Realizing she's trapped, she bolts from the barn, but Jeremy swiftly stops her, hurling a crowbar to impede her escape. As she pleads for her life, Jeremy mercilessly ends it. For more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.